Okay, so welcome back everybody. So we've been talking about beliefs, and just before the break, we defined a belief, didn't we? We defined a belief as something which we hold to be true. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it is the truth, it's just something that we hold to be true. So the nice thing about beliefs is we can hold on to them or we can put them down. And most people don't know how to do that. It's all well and good saying, oh, just change your beliefs, but unless you're given the process of how to change your beliefs, that doesn't really help much, does it? So, before I show you how to change beliefs, I think we need to have a bit of an investigation into the extraordinary way in which beliefs are created. And this is amazing information that most people never get a hold of in their life. So, the best way I can tell you this is a story from a seminar I went to many years ago, so 15 years ago, and I was invited along to this gentleman who people claimed was enlightened. I wasn't so sure he was enlightened, but he had a few good stories and a few good examples. But anyway, he kind of walks in the second half of his talk and he goes, right then, are you ready to have the secret of enlightenment revealed? And of course everyone's like, yeah, of course, everyone there wants to be enlightened. And he's got a jumper on the back of his chair. So he gets this jumper and you can see everybody looking real kind of with intent, oh, what's he gonna do? And he gets the jumper and just throws it on the ground. And he goes, there you go. And of course, there's a lot of confusion in the room. I was like, well, what the hell's that about? That's not enlightenment. I'm kind of laughing to myself, and some people are laughing, some people are looking really concerned, some people are annoyed. And he goes, no, that's genuinely the secret to enlightenment. And so, of course, if I was to ask all of you, what that meant, we're most likely going to get lots of different responses, aren't we? Like, well, I think it means maybe letting things go, or putting things down, or casting things aside, getting lighter, whatever it might be. But actually, what this gentleman was getting at is that in truth, what he did was get a jumper and just throw it on the ground. But of course, everybody wanted to attribute their own meaning to that. What does it mean to me? Oh, it means this, and it means that, and it means letting things go, and it means releasing things. But that's the meaning that you attached to that experience, to that event. All the event was just a man throwing a jumper on the ground. And so his claim was that enlightened people are able just to see things as they are. They're able to see things without interpretation. Now, I don't really care whether that's true or not true. I don't personally believe that, but it is a useful inroad into the structure of beliefs. So a belief really, if we're going to make it really clear, is an event happens. The human brain can't not make an interpretation of what that event means. So they interpret that event, and in that interpretation, they give it meaning. And that meaning, in turn, is the belief they have about it. So why is this important? Well, it's incredibly important. Because let's imagine that we have a young lad. And this young lad has been in a, problematic household. And his mother's just said, oh, you're useless. He's like 3-4 years old and he's continually told that he's useless. I'm sure you can all, understand that he would likely assume that he is indeed useless because there's this authority figure, in this case his mother, saying to him in an authoritarian voice, you're useless, and shouting at him. And so he just goes, yeah, okay, I'm useless. And then he grows up with that belief. And remember that a belief is something we hold to be true. But not only do we hold it to be true, once we hold a belief to be true, we act in accordance with that belief. So this young lad is now acting in accordance with this belief that he's useless. So he goes through life thinking he's useless. And it doesn't matter how many people say, no man, you're so good, you're cool, you're great, you're so lovely, you're such a great boy. On the inside, he has this feeling, this sense of being useless, and he behaves as if he's useless. So what can he do about this? Well, what he can do is something quite extraordinary, which we're going to learn how to do as a technique. But here is the technique in its most basic elements. What we need to do is we need to have this young guy, or as an adult, realize that, say for example, I'll say to all of you, and I'll say, well, you look at this event that's taking place, and you've got a young lad, 3-4 years old, you've got an overpowering mother saying you're useless. Do you think he's useless? Well, objectively, of course you don't. Objectively, you can see that the mother's stressed, unresolved, got bad parenting, whatever it might be. But of course, subjectively, he believes it to be true. And that's the same for all of us. If we were to look back at where our fundamental beliefs came from, we took them on board as a subjective experience. Whereas many objective people, if they were to look at it, would go, well, no, that's not the case at all. And this is incredibly important to understand, that if we were to remove all meaning, all emotion, all everything from that event, and we just saw the event as it was, it would be a mother saying very loudly words at a young boy. That's the factual experience. Yes, of course, with psychology and biology and all these other things, there are mechanisms that are happening. But the observable event is just that. Now here's the thing, if you all objectively can see that it's not that he's useless, it's that his mother is overbearing, his mother, has had a bad day, his mother just hasn't learned good parenting skills, his mother learned that from her mother, and so on and so forth. If you're able to do that, then what would it mean if we can have this man go back in time to when he was young and re-experience that event, reinterpret that event, as rather than he is useless, more his mother is stressed, his mother got that from his mother might be unwell, so on and so forth. What happens if that really happened? Well, what happens is the event gets separated from the belief, and then a new interpretation can be installed. And when that new interpretation can be installed, something along the lines of, I am useful, I am capable, something magical happens. When that new interpretation of I am capable or whatever is useful is installed, when you ask the adult, well, I'd like to look into your life and think about times when I am capable or I am useful is true, he will be able to find loads of those experiences once the blinker of the belief I am useless is taken off. And that is extraordinary, because it's not that this gentleman didn't have years and years and years of experiences where he was useful and he was capable. He simply wasn't able to see them because of the blinkers of the old problem belief. So it is fundamental that we understand the structure of a belief and how they are really formed and how we separate the forming event, the installation event, yes, from its interpretation, and then take some space to objectively look at that event, and then what we call be able to reframe it or reinterpret it in a way that really works for us. So the event stays the same, but our interpretation of the event changes. And once we do that, we can literally begin to choose our own beliefs. And that is an extraordinary superpower. So you want to learn how to do that? You want to run the process, get the nuts and bolts of it? Okay, let's get it done.